Hi everybody, it's Tracy from Yoga Within. I'm going to do a mini tutorial today on Trikonasana or triangle pose and Parivrita Trikonasana, which is revolved triangle pose. So we're going to need a block today for sure. If you don't have one, you might just need something like a book or a couple of books that you can stack and just have as a little bit of support for part of the tutorial that we're going to do. Okay, let's just start standing. We're going to bring our feet about hip width apart. And we're just going to do a little bit of side bending and twists just to start moving into the mechanics of the pose. Okay, so let's inhale and lift our arms up. And we're just going to simply lean over to the right, reaching the fingers away, opening up the chest and the shoulder. Trying to keep the weight even on the feet. Breathing here as you reach. Good. Let's lift up and lean over to the other side. So reaching through those hands, trying to keep the weight even on the feet, and then opening up the chest, taking that right shoulder back a little bit. Breathing. Excellent. Good. So let's lift the arms up again. This time we're going to turn to the right and then open up the arms. Maybe even taking the gaze behind you. Try to soften your shoulders, so drop the shoulders away from the ears as you reach through both hands, forward and back. Good, let's inhale, come on back up to center, turn to the left, reach again, those hands away, taking the gaze over that left arm. Breathing here, softening the shoulders. You're really just turning from the torso, the hips and the legs are in the same place. Good, let's lift up again. And then just take the hands down to your sides. Okay, good. So we're going to open right up into Trikonasana. We're going to widen the feet. And what you want to think about is having those left toes in and the right toes out, okay? Now, when you take your block, we're going to start on the high level of the block, which is this way, and just put it inside the right foot. So let's start with the hands on the hips. So something that I've learned over the years I've been doing Trikonasana is that when I used to do it, I used to try to stand as straight as possible and just lean right over. But that was not good for my hips. So I'm going to just show you a different way to get into the pose so that it saves from that pinching and stuff that you might feel in the hip and even the glute. So what I want you to think about is standing up nice and tall, hands on the hips. Now we're going to use our gaze. Take the gaze down towards that block. And when you do that, you automatically start bringing that left shoulder and hip forward a little bit. You're going to start leaning down now. So you're saving your hip here and then placing your hand on the block. Now with that left hand, see if you can move the hip back as you start to open up the chest and torso to the front. Breathing here. Now this is Trikonasana. You might want to just stay here. You may want to add the arm by lifting it up towards the ceiling. And then you can even take the gaze up to the fingers if you like. Otherwise, look straight ahead. Or if it's too much on the neck, look straight down. Now, think about pressing into that right big toe and putting some weight in the left heel. So you're still continuing to open up. And you're trying to get the torso mostly over top of that right leg. So keep breathing here. Lots of directions are happening. The top of the head is moving forward. The left hip is moving back. You're still opening up the chest. Breathing here. Good. Now, if you want to try, look down. Take the block to the next level, and you're down a little bit lower. You can also play with it being down on the lowest level and opening up. Or you can move the block out of the way and maybe take your hand to the shin, the ankle, or even your big toe. Breathing here. Good. Let's take our block and lift up to standing. Woo! And just move the hips around a little bit. And let's do the same on the other side. So now you're going to turn the right toes in and the left toes out. The feet are fairly wide, but not too wide. Taking the block inside the left foot, and you choose which level you want to use, whether it's high, medium, or low, or without the block at all. Okay, let's start again with the hands on the hips. Let's lift up nice and tall. Good. And again, instead of just leaning sideways, getting that pinch in the hip, take the gaze to the block and bring that right shoulder forward, leaning towards it so that you can place the hand on the block. Now use your right hand to move that hip back towards the heel, opening up the torso, and you can again keep the hand here if that feels good, or you can lift that arm up to the ceiling, keeping the gaze forward or maybe lifting the gaze up to the hand. Good, now try not to sink into that lower shoulder. Think about lifting up, so you're not leaning on this block. It's a guide. You are lifting up through the top fingers. Good, keep some weight in that left big toe, in the back heel, and open up that torso for this beautiful pose. Breathing here. Good. Okay, let's come back up and just shake everything out again. And we're going to come into Parivrtta Trikonasana. So you are going to keep the legs where they were, turn the left toes in, right toes out again, but this time you're going to face that right leg and walk the right foot out to the side so that you're a little more on train tracks. I'm going to turn the other way so that you can see the other side of the pose. So this time your block comes to the outside of the right foot, okay? Let's start with hands on the hips. Again, you are trying to even out these hips, pressing into the front big toe and staying nice and even forward. Now you're going to lean forward. Take the gaze to your block again, but this time take the left hand to the block. Good. Now you're going to use that right hand. Same thing as you did before. Take the hip back. Open up the torso to the side. Keep some weight in that back heel, and you may or may not want to add that arm. If you do, you lift it up, and maybe you take the gaze up. So we're into a twist here. Try not to take all the weight forward. You're trying to keep some weight in that back heel. Also try not to sink into that front shoulder or lean into that block. Lift up so that you're reaching up through the right fingers. Good. Nice. Now release that. Take the block. Turn to the other way. So you're just shifting your feet the other direction. Walk that left foot out to the side of the mat so that again you're facing that leg. Take the block to the outside of the left foot. Good. Hands on the hips. Lifting up nice and tall. Starting to hinge at the hips and lean forward. Take that right arm down to the block. So you're using your gaze to get there. Now use that left hand. Take the hip back. Do you see that opening? Keep some weight in the back heel. Open up the torso to the side. So you're reaching forward through the top of the head, reaching back through that heel, keeping weight in both feet. So the front big toe, the back heel, and then you might want to lift that arm coming into a twist. So same thing as we did with Trikonasana, you can take the block down to the middle level. You can take it down to the low level, or you can move it out of the way and just take your hand to the floor. And that is a much more intense twist, but you can try it or work your way up to it or down to it, so to speak. Good. Let's come on out of that pose. Just bring your feet together and just sort of move things around a little bit. So that's a little bit of instruction in Trikonasana, Parivrtta Trikonasana, and take it easy and try one bit at a time, one level at a time. You can try it without the arm, you can try it with the arm. You do what you need to do to deepen the pose. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you again soon.